We had a lot of illness in the family from the time I was very young. I naturally evolved toward a caretaker role.
Growing up, I always thought I would be a physician of some sort. I think I've always had the feeling of giving back and just helping someone who's less fortunate.
We all have unique experiences that help shape who you are.
Our body can surprise us, and life has a way of surprising us. My name is Marissa. I live in Rochester, New York, with my husband Mickey, my mom, and my rescue dog.
My name is Sean, and I live in New Jersey with my wife and children.
Being raised by my grandparents, I always assumed that I would go into some sort of geriatric medicine. I had undergrad in chemistry, and I thought, everything was right on track. I would go into medical school and wind up being a doctor like I always thought.
My father actually made the decision to go back to school when he was 40 years old. He was in an anatomy lab class, and he started bringing me to that class. Apparently at the age of 4, my parents told me I announced that I was going to be a doctor, and I never really looked back. It was just that curiosity, having sort of an inside look at a younger age, that really was fascinating to me.
One Fort Lauderdale evening in 2001, I was crossing a street and I was hit by a pickup truck around 50 miles an hour as a pedestrian. So that sort of changed my entire life path at that moment. I had a lot of internal injuries that I had to overcome, but at the same time, all of these symptoms that had come out a little bit sporadically throughout my life, all of a sudden all came out at once. I started getting strange fevers. I also had a rash on my face and trunk of my body. I had a lot of joint and muscle pain, and then I wound up having a small stroke. At first, they thought that was probably because I'd had a head injury from being hit, but after doing all the testing, it actually was part of lupus.
As I was building toward medical school, I sort of had a decision point at that time. It became pretty clear that immunology was something that fascinated me. When I thought about subspecialties and what are the types of things that I'd be interested in scientifically, but also in the clinic, rheumatology was something that really jumped out. Just having seen time and time again how devastating that lupus could be to the patients, it really drew me toward that area and specialty within rheumatology. It's a disorder that typically affects young women. That's a very challenging time in life, I think, for anybody. And so here now you've overlaid a serious autoimmune disorder that can affect any organ system in the body and can be quite devastating.
Lupus has this funny way of affecting every single part of your life. I didn't know anyone else with the disease. It was very lonely. I realized that my path was not going to be as a doctor, but I came to this realization that I could still help people. It just wasn't going to be in that original format that I thought it would be. I got this wild idea that, okay, I would be the person to blaze the trail here and get lupus out there and be able to reach as many people as possible. And I started a blog. The blog just started to honestly take off. So we sort of became this online support area for lupus patients and also for their friends and their family members, their caregivers. I thought, okay, I'm definitely onto something here. I'm just not exactly sure where it's gonna go. And then finding out that Janssen is working on medications and better treatments for lupus patients is definitely something that just gives you hope.
I think lupus as an area of focus fits naturally with what we're doing at Janssen. We've been pioneers for many years now in the rheumatology space, but when you think about a disease like lupus, there's really very little options available therapeutically. This presents an opportunity to develop better therapies. The major breakthrough will be that not only will the therapies be more effective, but importantly that they will be safer.
It's because of scientists like Sean that lupus patients like me will have access to better treatments and more options, and hopefully one day the ability to get through every single day in life without lupus being at the forefront, and we'll be able to enjoy our life more.
From a very young age, if I saw a bird with a hurt wing, I was going to be the kid who was going to take him in and try and nurse him back to health. I can't say that I can really rationalize it. It's something that I always felt. I headed down that path, and here I am today.
Being diagnosed with a chronic illness like lupus doesn't mean life is over. Personally, I feel like my life actually began at that point. Always felt like my mission in life was to help people in some way. I think the hardest part is actually taking that first step.
Trying to develop new treatments to really impact people's lives. That's what drives me, and that's what I think about every day.
Even with the speed bumps and all the detours that life can throw our way, I think being hopeful and seeing what your purpose is, you're able to move past that and do something extraordinary.
That's why together, we're working to give lupus patients hope.
Hope that lupus does not have to define me.
Hope that someday we will find better treatments for lupus.
My name is Marissa, and I'm living with lupus.
And my name is Sean, and I'm a clinical study director at Janssen, and we are transforming lives together.